I like this knife more than any of my other knives, even my Delica.
These I'm not sure if they're available at the moment. I reckon that they've probably run out and they're gearing up.
And even my Falconer U2. And yes,
The Ravages of Time.
when I think of cold steel, I think of
stab a giant buffalo with this katana cold steel machete. First time ever been done. Whoa! Katana in the cold water, baby!
well, after I've thought of that,
And had some special alone time.
I think of really well-made, mid-sized EDC knives. They have a few of them. They do some good work in this size category for sure. And the American Lawman has always been my favorite. If you are a fan of the channel, depending on how in you are, then you probably remember me. I would often say this is the knife to just buy someone who perhaps doesn't have a taste yet or doesn't quite know what they want or just want something reliable that they're not going to be confused by. It's going to be pretty cost effective. It's going to be really high quality. It's going to be fairly... There's not a great learning curve to this. Even though the lock isn't a complete standard lock back, it still operates exactly the same. The blade steel is not going to be anything that's going to be too difficult to manage. And overall, they're not going to do themselves too much mischief because it sits in your hand quite well. You can choke up on it a couple of different ways. And even lately, they've really got onto their triad locking smoothness, and you can flip them open pretty well too. And as well as that, unlike some cold steels, you could make the mistake of having your fingers in the blade path when you close it, and it's not going to go on your hands unless you're holding it all the way back here, and then you might get an owie. So overall, it's a pretty safe choice, and it remains a safe choice. My goal here, though, I've been through a couple of American Lawmen.
Giggity.
I've been through a couple of American Lawmen. My first one I had for a while, and I believe I lost it. And then I replaced it with a flat, dark earth one, which I think they changed the grind, and I think they've kept that changed grind. So you've got the flat, dark earth that I had. I kind of went a bit overboard when I was doing some thinness behind the edge, extreme edge testing, and I may have made it into a complete abomination.
I'm sorry. Even with all our power, we can't do anything to change you back. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so whilst I still have that knife, I really find it difficult to look at it. I can't stand what I did to it. So I thought, well, I'm going to order another one. And I thought if I sink another 170, which these are what they are in Australia, $170 from AussieKnives.com. That's about, exchange rate wise, it's about 120 US dollars. These sell for about 99 US dollars. So that's just us having to ship things here and whatever. So, and that's, for a branded knife in Australia that's made of good materials, that's a fine cost. Overall, it looks good on paper. So I thought I'll spend the money and I'll see if I still feel like this is the safest bet. Like the crowd pleaser, the can't go wrong knife. And I think I may have changed my mind. Let's talk about the basics of it first. So looking at it next to some other knives, it's very much of your standard EDC knife shape. It's 3.5 inches-ish in the blade. Overall length is about 7 and a bit inches. It's going to do the same size comparison, footprint as like a Schleich Bowie or maybe a Spyderco Endella or something similar. Here it is next to a bunch of other knives, just so you can see it in hand versus some other things. The other thing about the American Lawman is it's kind of wide. And lots of cold steels they sort of got those taller blades, and they're a bit more hockey puckish in the pocket, which is something I'm not the hugest fan of personally, but I don't think too many other folks mind a great deal. You're really not getting anything controversial in terms of size, and it's actually quite a toned down cold steel. From a company that makes things like the larger Sparta, the American Lawman is positively tasteful in its size. You're getting a piece of S35 VN steel on what they say is a hollow ground knife, but it's a slight hollow grind if it is indeed a hollow grind. It does cut very well, and as cold steels always do, I've never had a cold steel that wasn't really well done out of the box with its factory edge. Factory edge was about 20 degrees. I've taken it down to 17 degrees, which has heightened the bevel just a little bit, but nothing too garish. I learnt from my mistakes. And overall, yes, in terms of the steel, I did a steel test on it and it performs really well. Excelsior, 350 rope cuts, no worries, exactly what you would expect from S35 VN, a good sort of entry level, powdered steel that is on basically every knife that exists at the moment for a good reason. It's just basically good stuff. No problems at all. Good rust resistance, not that you have to worry with the DLC coating that you get on the blade. Fine toughness, easy enough to resharpen using non-specific systems. You can keep it honed on a simple work sharp field sharpener. Not a problem, good steel. Moving on. They used to have it in XHP, which I liked a little bit better, but I'm not sure if the end user would really be able to tell the difference. I think there's like 4 different types of steel. There's like your crazy steels, like K390 that hold a great edge and will rust. There's your really good steels that hold a great edge and won't rust. There's your S35 VN steels that hold a good edge, probably won't rust, you can sharpen pretty easily. And then there's like your 8CRs down here. Those are the levels that I think you actually notice as the end user, unless you're doing specific testing. And this is just happily sitting, middle tier. It's fine. It's fine. The blade's covered in their DLC coating, which is their much improved coating they brought out about 5 years ago. These used to just be painted, like basically shiny paint. And it would come off as soon as you started cutting anything. And as such, I think, started realizing that the blades look really bad once they've had their paint worn away. So they put this DLC coating, a bit like what you get on the Mora Bushcraft Black or something like that. Really hard to get this stuff off. I've sharpened this with abrasive stones, and it's you see it coming off as you do it, and it comes off neatly. It doesn't kind of chip off or peel off like paint. It's definitely a fine powdered coat, or however they apply it. It's good stuff. The handle is 2 slabs of G10. Pretty basic. Can't really go wrong with G10 as a handle material. It certainly is tough, and I've used this in a whole bunch of, hard work situations. It doesn't slip, it grips well even when it's wet, it doesn't get sun bleached or damaged. You can leave it out in the elements. It's a good material. It's just a type of resin. It's good. It's good. The handle styling is, as I said before, it's kind of tall and boxy, but being boxy and being flat isn't generally the worst thing in the world. You don't want a thin square handle, but a boxy square handle, you set your hand across it. It's about as wide as like the difference between this finger and this finger, or as wide as like this fatty part of your palm here. It's fine. There are more comfortable knife handles. Like my TRM Neutron with the 3D G10 handle is a more comfortable knife handle than this, but this is a very practical knife handle. It's not going to come out of your hand, and it's got 2 big scalloped out choils there. First one, super safe grip. You could stab this into a wall and you're probably not going to slide up on it. Second is your detail work grip for doing a bushcraft or something similar, lots of levels of control, and of course you can reverse grip it and do a tactical as well, as the name would suggest. Moving on to the name, I'm not sure why it is called the American Lawman. I don't see anything about this that makes it specifically a policeman's knife. I mean, I'm thankful they haven't stuck glass breakers and strap cutters and bullshit all over it, because those people use specific tools for that stuff, which is good. But I'm just assuming the American Lawman name is just to kind of tickle that live action role playing thing that all of us blokes completely fall victim to. You know, it's fine. It happens to everyone. You read a knife, it says military in the name or Lawman in the name, or it says it was made for some far-flung, you know, jungle warrior, crack unit of, you know, Malaysian soldiers, and you think, yeah, that tickles me, you know, while you're sitting in your office job, wanting a bit of an escape from the everyday, you think, well, maybe if I had the American Lawman, I could perhaps do maybe I could skip a few months or years of training and still do a pretty mean tactical on someone. So I think that's kind of how it breaks down. I don't have a particular issue with it. I just get reminded of Steven Seagal when I see the name Lawman. He has ruined that term because I think he had his Lawman show, and he is just, you know what, I think he's even tied in with Cold Steel somehow. Cold Steel has some odd characters that sort of hitch their strides up to their coat hooks. So, but anyway, yeah, the Lawman name, apart from just being a name, I don't think it's particularly police focused. I guess it's black and tactical and well made, which I suppose is of benefit to the police. It's not of detriment to the police. So there we go. It's an Andrew Demko design, I think. And I guess you've got to name it something, don't you? You're not going to call it like the butter pie, are you? So American Lawman, no worries. It is made in Taiwan, of course. So don't let it, you know, fool you into thinking that it's made in America. It's not its country of origin, apart from where it was designed. So what's in a name? Not much, I don't think, with the American Lawman. The billboarding is not too bad for a Cold Steel, but is still worse than most other knives. That's a manageable font. The little circle going around the A is kind of cool. But yeah, I probably could do without all that stuff as well. I'm just glad it's there and not here like the Code 4 and the Recon 1 have often done. So yeah, that's probably not something that's worth harping on about for minutes at a time in a review, but there we go, I've done it. So after carrying this for the last couple of weeks, I still really like it. It's a good knife. It's probably my favorite Cold Steel EDC knife still. I like it more than the Airlight, for example. I like it more than the Recon 1. I like the steel better than the Airlight steel. I like the G10 better than the Recon 1's G10. It's still, yeah, about ideal. I mean, I like the AD10, but that's quite a bit more of a price jump up from here, which is, even though it is still in the same steel, you do get kind of that more rounded handle, and perhaps that's the more recommendable Cold Steel if you are in the market for one of their triad locking folders. The AD10 is probably more pleasing to the hands than this one as well. It's interesting. This one may have the slightly thinner, slightly more performing blade. But again, the luster has gone for me a little bit. I've had so many different knives since these were like my safe favorite. Like back when I got this, I was comparing it to Spyderco Paramilitary 2s and Benchmade 940s and things like that. Whereas now I'm playing with my TRM knives, and I've had Sebenzas through, and I think my tastes are just kind of expanding and changing a bit. And these just aren't quite as well. They were never perfect, but yeah, definitely lost the lust just a little tiny bit for me. The American Lawman. Interesting how your tastes change. But, objectively speaking, still a very good knife. You can still go very much further wrong than getting yourself an American Lawman or buying one for a friend, or for Father's Day or whatever. It's a very basic, very effective knife, even still. Just for me, I think, I've veered more into, like, I'm happy to sacrifice a bit of strength or a bit of stoutness for perhaps a bit more slicing performance, or a bit of extra thought going into the pocket carry, because this is quite a pocket shredder, and that has been something I've noticed lately. I haven't actually had a knife that's damaged my pocket seams for a while now, because I think it's one of those things that I subconsciously weed out of my knife collection. And yet here we are again, and these pocket clips with the G10, even the milder G10, they really do shred up your pocket. Something fierce, so there's that too. Overall though, it's a good knife. It's even a great knife. It's just not quite my be-all and end-all anymore. What do you think? You like the American Lawman? I still do, and I still recommend it, but I like a whole bunch of other stuff even more, and I think that's the thing.